Either one works.
So you changed your name?
I did.
Why did you change your name?
I got symbolically married to someone, and she changed her name as well. But there's a lot of reasons. All right.
You are autistic, right?
Well, you can say that. I don't like that term. I'm an autist. I'm not a person with autism. I'm an autist.
Hmm. And how does that impact your life? How does it affect you?
How does it mostly relationships and employment. Yeah.
You have a hard time keeping a job?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've had like, I don't know, 30, 40 jobs in my life.
Are you misunderstood by most people?
Oh, yeah, everybody. Yeah, fucking everyone. Everyone.
And is that because of the autism or the autism?
You can say autism. Yeah, I mean it's a type of brain, but I just don't like when you refer to a person. I don't like to say that they have autism because it's a brain difference. It's not something that you have. It's something that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have.
But there are also positive aspects to being.
Oh
autistic.
fuck! I wouldn't want to be typical. No, it's autism is 1 in 30, and we have a different type of brain, and it's a genetic and epigenetic. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be anyone but me. No, yeah. I would like if I had a typical brain, I wouldn't be me. So it's like.
You're happy as you are.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers all the way.
Tell me about your childhood.
My childhood.
You grew up where?
I grew up in central Pennsylvania. I went to 3 different high schools, 2 different junior highs, and a Catholic grade school. I don't remember my parents ever being together. They were divorced before my memories were really being formed. But it was really, I asked my mom recently because what my temperament was. Because I also have, I'm just going to say it right now. I hope I get to do a little explanation. But personality disorder.
Which one?
We'll talk about that. Okay, which one? Antisocial, narcissistic, histrionic, borderline, schizoid, schizotypical, avoidant, dependent.
Check all the boxes.
And paranoid. Yeah, I've shifted all through those. I've been all.
And you think you were born this way, or this because of something traumatic?
No, I wasn't. No, I was born an autist. I developed severe personality disorder.
What went on in your childhood?
My father, he, I believe, had he recently died, and it was a great relief to me that he died. I haven't spoken to him for 15 years, and he was triangulating with my sister, and my sister stopped speaking to me. My sister was like, "Oh, it's because you're mean to your mom or something, our mom," and that was bullshit. It was Wayne, my father, wedging, trying to continue to punish me. So my father, I believe, was an autist, and without question, would classify as antisocial personality disorder, severe, and he was abused as a child. His mother, my grandmother, she definitely had antisocial personality disorder, also autist. She chained him up to the crib whenever she never wanted to have kids, but my grandfather convinced her to have babies, and they had 2, and they're both fucked up. My aunt also autist and severe personality disorder. My aunt choked the family dog, killed it. Yeah, my father. They're sadists, I mean, that's what is antisocial? Antisocial is a person with personality disorder who is schadenfreude, and it's not good. And my father tried to make me antisocial, and I just didn't. It didn't stick. He started getting in trouble, like all antisocial people will in high school, and he had an argument with his father, and his father was like, if you don't straighten up, I'm going to send you to the military. This was during Vietnam, at the height of Vietnam, and my father's like, fuck you, I'll go right now. So my grandfather took him down to the recruiter office whenever he was 17, signed him away, And my father wanted to be a badass. I mean, he was a badass. He became a Green Beret, Special Forces, did psych ops. He was a terrorist. He was a terrorist for the U.S. government. And, the training that he got, he served 3 tours, got shot twice in the leg, each leg. Machine gun came up, went through didn't hit one bone. How do you do that? How do you get shot in both legs? No, fucking, and grenade shrapnel. I believe he was a POW. He didn't talk about that much, but came back and was, he was fucked up going in and way fucked up when he came out. He did horrible things and saw horrible things. And, he told me when they were training that they would to desensitize, they'd take chickens and have them bite the neck to kill the chicken, and he tried to get me to enjoy inflicting pain on animals, and it just didn't work. Good, because if it would have worked, you motherfuckers would be in trouble.
How would you describe your childhood in general?
Confusing, very confusing. My father and my mother were absolute angels and the best. He would never want any parents other than him. And then devils, back and forth, and it's. I think that's probably what causes a lot of people to develop splitting. You know what splitting is? You can't understand.
Well, you're very interesting for an autist because typically people with autism they have a difficult time speaking or communicating or being around people. You seem like a great speaker. You're very comfortable speaking in front of.
Sometimes. 10 years ago, I saw Trent Reznor walking up the Hollywood Hills with my Christian girlfriend, and I was like, "That's Trent Reznor." She's like, "Who's Trent Reznor?" She's big into music. I was like, "How did he not?" Okay, so Trent Reznor, I was a big fan, but I saw him coming up, and I saw him in New Orleans too. I was working at a gallery doing framings in his Nothing Studios, was just one block. And he was going to open his door. He was holding these packages that looked really expensive. And I was going to open the door for him, be like, "Hey, do you need a hand?" And then he looked at me, and he's like, "Oh, fuck, a fan." And I was like, "Okay." And I just kept walking. I ignored him, and he dropped the package. Anyway, I saw him several years later at the Hollywood Hills, and I just wanted to say hello. And, my girlfriend didn't know who he was. She's like, "Hi, how you doing?" And now, just head down.
Oh, you explained to me before we started that you have what is it called?
It's called selective mutism.
So you'll be unable to speak. Yeah,
celebrities. With you, it was horrible in high school. If I liked a girl, I couldn't go up to them. I couldn't,
The anxiety gets too much.
Yeah, and I say high school. It's still like this. But the online dating things, which the girl that changed her name with me. I was on OkCupid for 3 hours, and then I was with her for 7 years. So, and we texted back and forth. I did I transferred it all into an app that I could count the words, and it was our texts in the first month was the amount of a novel. She has autism too, and so I have a relationship with you already, right?
We spoke on the phone.
We spoke on the phone for 35 minutes.
That was 35 minutes?
No, the first one was 5, the second one was 10, and then there was 20. No, I'm sorry, 45 minutes.
Okay, whatever, we spoke before.
Yeah, and we exchanged texts.
Just to make sure I'm interested in interviewing you. And then you hopped in your car and drove here from Pennsylvania.
Straight, yeah. I was like, I'm fired.
How many days did that take you?
It was 3. I could have done the interview yesterday. So it was, drive. I didn't get hotels or anything. Go in the back, nap. If every time I'm like, okay, nap, drive.
How old are you now?
48.
48. And your life has been, you have kids?
No kids.
No kids.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm most thankful for, actually. I would love to have a kid. I would adopt, But making a kid, I feel bad for you. You have 2 daughters?
I do.
Yeah, I feel horrible for you. It's anyone who has a kid. Yeah, so bad.
Why is that?
I don't know if you noticed, but it's getting fucking hot outside. It's getting really, 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 really fucking hot. I saw the Joshua trees coming here, and I don't know, I'm not an expert in Joshua trees or anything, but I looked at them, and they all looked sad. I saw them 10 years ago, and coming this way, I was like, oh man, they look like they just got baked. And shit is falling apart, and it's gonna fall apart really, really fast if something radical doesn't. I'm running for president. I just wanted to mention that.
So, I mean, how do you spend your time now? Jobless?
Man, jobless. Well, when I have a job, it's nice.
How do you support yourself, typically? You're trying to hang on to a job?
Man, how do I try to support myself?
With all these personality disorders, your life's got to be brutal.
It is, yeah, it's very, very challenging. If I wasn't blessed with my aptitude, I wouldn't be here. I'd be dead. Like, definitely, without a question. So
you seem to be, like, over the phone, I was impressed with your knowledge of personality disorders. And
I hate that term. I really like to read.
What term do you prefer?
I just made it last night. I put it on your paint. It's ICPTSD. That's what personality disorder is. All these psychologists, they're all fucked up. No. It's ICPTSD. It's individuation complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So, and it happens from 0 to 4 years old, whenever you're individuating. And if that gets fucked up because you had a dead mother,
abusive parent.
Doesn't have to be abusive, you know. I mean,
I mean that's just an example of.
Oh yeah, well I mean to get as fucked up as I am, you have to have some major abuse. But if you have that's why I wanted to know about my temperament. So I asked my mom, and she's like, "You were an easy to please baby," and she's like, has 4 of these photo albums, and she's like, "Look, you're happy in all the pictures." Sure, yeah, Instagram from 1978. Sure, yeah, I had a great So if you have like a difficult temperament, you need extra attention, and it's a lot of work to raise a child right, and it's a term called good enough mother, right? So if you're a good enough mother, you can individuate. You become a separate entity from your mother. You create these boundaries, and you respect other people's boundaries. If that doesn't happen from 0 to 4, you're going to be fucked up. You're going to have a negative affect, anacostia, dissociality, disinhibition, detachment, emotional dysregulation, cognitive distortions, and distorted boundaries. And that's what personality disorder is. It's a horrible fucking name. It needs to stop being used. It's ICPTSD, and it can be managed. I'm a perfect example. I should be I should make Jeffrey Dahmer look like a piece, like, amateur. Amateur. He might be a little bit better looking than me, but fucking amateur.
How have you managed your whatever the term is that you came up with?
ICPTSD.
ICPTSD.
It's really CPTSD with an I, and it's like I was like ICPTSD. How have I managed? Art, first and foremost, and then mostly painting. I did videos. I did dogma videos back in high school with a big VHS camera with my friends. I started a cult. They didn't know, but every good ICPTSDer starts a cult. I lost her. What was your question?
No, how have you managed it?
Art, and that's what Jeffrey Dahmer's going out and he ate people? I don't know. He killed, they do that to master their trauma. So they're, people that, like Jake, right? He was he OD'd or died.
He OD'd in January.
Yeah. So he was raped by his father, right, and it was horrible. How did he master? It must have just, no, I'm sorry, wrong person.
He may not have mastered it, given that he's...
Yeah, dead. Yeah, definitely. Oh, no, he went trans. That's how he I'm sorry. I watched a lot of your interviews, and they're starting to blend together.
Yeah, he was trans at one point, and then he came.
Yeah, so that's how he mastered it.
Detransition.
Yeah, so and like things like when I say art, paintings, writing, definitely. I had a blog, and I would work things out, writing, and that's how I mastered it, but a constructive way instead of a destructive way. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. Another YouTube that's up, still up. I'm shocked. My cult, whenever I was in high school, I lived out in the country, and there was a dead deer there. Okay, now my dad tried to get me to enjoy inflicting pain on animals because his biggest fear was that I was going to be the pussy. Not pussy. But I didn't want to do it. I mean, I have a hunting story where he told me just shoot the deer through the heart. No other shot is good. And this deer walked right in front of me, and I had never been out in the woods quiet and let a deer walk in front of me. So I was like, this is really wild. I don't fuck. It was just the experience of the deer walk, let alone shooting it. And then he's this Green Beret. He has all this high tech night scopes, and I'm like a soldier out there getting my deer enemy. And the deer walked in front of me, and he's like, "Why didn't you take the shot?" And I was like, "I didn't have a shot through the heart. You said only take a shot through the heart." And he said, "Knucklehead, you could have shot it in the face." So it's like, fuck. And then he thought I just didn't have the balls to kill a deer, which I can kill a deer, and eat a deer and skin a deer. Fuck, it's no problem. But that was traumatic because I was following orders. I was following fucking orders to the T, and you think I'm a knucklehead. So I didn't realize that I was mastering this trauma. I didn't even realize that it was trauma at the time. But 5 years later, I have this video camera, I have a cult, and I have this dead deer. And I'm like, let's do something. So we do like Lord of Flies. It's really bad. There's no plot. It's just us mutilating a dead deer. So it's like, what the fuck is this, right? Because not all antisocial, but like a lot of the antisocial people have a history of torturing animals to get that sadistic, because they were tortured. So it's like they're gonna have the same environment, the same conditions.
Were you tortured as a kid?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I was tortured in Orange County Jail. I was tortured in Allegheny County Jail. I've been tortured fucking too much.
Tortured in what ways?
So I'll start. My father. Now I was thinking about this going in, driving here, and I had this scar. And I got it from when I was 0 to 4. I never understood it, but I heard stories. And the story about this scar is that I was a toddler walking around and I bumped my dad's motorcycle exhaust pipe and burnt my hand. And this is also where I did a lot of self-harm. It's like right in my face. I cut over that scar. And then later I was trying to quit smoking cigarettes. I put a cigarette out beside that scar. Didn't even connect dots. And I'm like, this fucking shit, man. I figured out, I don't have the memory of it, but it wasn't me burning my hand on an exhaust pipe. My father had me jumping off of roofs into his hands, like tall roofs, rappelling, holding chainsaws. I have this picture. I'm like this tall, holding the chainsaw. What the fuck? Why? But no, he was afraid. My mother has, if she were going to be classified as anything, dependent personality disorder, and they have these really distorted boundaries too. And my father was afraid. My father cheated on her whenever I was 0 to 4 with the next door neighbor. He had a war with his other neighbor. His other neighbor built a spike fence. I had a fucking same thing happened to me. My neighbor put up a spike fence. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So his neighbor put up a spike fence, and there was some argument. I think my dad built a garage that he didn't like, or I don't know what the fucking argument was about. I don't have memories of this. This is all stories, but I know that the picture books are really nice because you can go back and like put the pieces together and be like, figure out what the fuck happened before. So his neighbor threw paint on his house, a gallon of paint on his house, and he was fucking the neighbor who I was playing with their daughters, and their daughters dressed me up in girls' clothes, and I was like playing with dolls, and it didn't bother me, I was like having fun, but that blew my father's brain. He's like, fag, fuck. Why am I a fag? Because I got the genetics of my pussy mother. She's just, wouldn't hurt to fly. Take the fly out. That kind of Not really, but
You're
close.
not gay?
Uh,
Or are you?
I'm inexperienced bi. I mean, not inexperienced, but small experience and non-binary. So I had, some experimentation in high school, very little, and then after my first divorce in Albuquerque, I was going to bars and couldn't talk to anybody in the bars that I was attracted to, so I became friends with the bouncer. And the bouncer's like, "Come on, man, come on with me, I'll suck your dick." And I was like, "Oh man, I really want a blowjob. I just don't understand." So I went home with him and was nervous, and I pulled my pants down. I got a boner. I was like, "Oh, okay, this is working." And he started sucking my dick. I was like, "Feels just as good." No, it feels better actually. It's like he knows what he's doing. And then in the middle of it, I close my eyes and I feel his whiskers brush up against my crotch area, and I just freak out, jump up, pants on, woo, out the door, never to the bar again. But yeah, this was the neighbor. So he was fucking the neighbor. She's antisocial too, and my father said, "Your mother just didn't have what I needed. The next door neighbor had what I needed."
Most of your family dealing with some form of personality issue?
Yeah.
Is most of the world, do you think?
Yes. Well, it depends. This is a hotbed. This place, LA, fucking. Once this interview's over, I'm gone. I'm getting in my car. I'm going this place scares me. I mean, I'm poor, so it's got a shitty hotel. I looked at all the hotels. I was like, okay, I'll try to get around rush hour. I got up real early, kind of got in the middle of rush hour, and I just wanted a bathtub so I could soak because I was sore. And this $90 hotel that has a bathtub, you can't fill it up.
I was just asking for most of the world.
Oh yeah, especially in LA. Anywhere there's cameras, you're gonna have people with very, very weak egos that appear like egotistical. But they either have a weak ego or no ego.
Mm-hmm.
Cameras. Politicians, surgeons, CEOs.
People that like the limelight.
Yeah, need it. I don't think it's it's like they need it. It's their food. If they don't get that, or if they get hooked on it and then there's no more, then it's like they have this existential crisis because they depend on it. They don't have a self. They need the external world for them to have themselves and
I was on a plane coming back from east part of the country, and there was a celebrity sitting a couple of rows ahead of me that we all know, a very famous celebrity, sitting on the aisle, and every single passenger that came on the plane had to tell him that they loved this movie that he was in, and he's their favorite actor, and just got attention from every single passenger. And he soaked it all in. He loved it. He was so gracious with every single person, every passenger on the plane. It was amazing to watch.
It's sad.
And he clearly just loved it.
Yeah, I think it's really sad. I feel bad for him.
No, I mean, he's lucky that he found the career that
It's a patch. There's a whole...
Well, I mean, everything we do is a patch, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. I think you can become healthy.
I mean, maybe there are some healthy ones among us that are just doing things that...
It's rare.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be really authentic.
And most of us are struggling with what we went through in childhood.
It might be my father, his determination to get to me have balls, because you need gigantic fucking balls to be authentic. To not care what anyone thinks about you, just what you think about yourself.
Yeah. To be on social media, you have to have that.
I am a horrible failure on social media.
No, but if you're concerned about what other people think of you, you'll crumble.
I'm not concerned, but nobody will follow me. I committed Facebook suicide yesterday. I was like,
what is that?
I had put a lot of work into Facebook, and had a love-hate relationship with it, and had 41 followers. I'm like, what the fuck? I go to all these places, get engagement, contact. They'll volley back and forth with me on their site. Nobody comes to mine and drops a comment. They go to my site, I think, and be like, "Eeks, weirdo," and then they're gone.
Are you a weirdo?
Yeah, I'm not. There's a bell curve of what's normal and what's not normal. Yeah, I'm definitely.
I think in your video that you sent me when you first contacted me, I think you said you're a weirdo. Right?
I am, yeah. It was a horrible video. I was like, when you called me, I was like, what is this for fucking real? And then I heard your voice, and I'm like, my paranoid brain's like, CGI or computer generated? It's like, is somebody trying to scam me to get me to fucking, pop out and be like, oh, a famous person wants to talk to me, and I'll drive across the country. And I get here, and then I find out I was catfished, and I don't have any money.
Was that a thought of yours?
Yes.
As you were coming out?
Yeah.
That it wasn't for real?
Yeah.
Oh
Well, I had suspicions about you whenever I was texting you, right? And because my last insignificant other, she does this. We'll be texting, get the blue, it's red, and then you went green. I was like, oh fuck. She's done that to me like 10 times, and you did it to me. Or I don't know, it could have been an accident.
I did what?
Whenever you had read receipts on for your text. It's an iPhone. Okay.
I don't think I had that on.
Well, you did, and then something happened. You either turned, you could have turned your phone off. So I didn't know. You could have turned your phone off. It's read receipts.
I turned my phone off a lot.
I believe it. I mean, yeah, I'm assuming you have 2 phones, right?
My phone is off right now.
What?
I have so many iPhones I can't tell you. but the main one is off most of the time.
Is that the one that I?
Mm-hmm.
So it's off. If it's off, you don't get the blue message. You get the green. It wasn't delivered, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to it.
Well, and that's why I didn't like. And I was like, he's just turned his phone off. The one thing that you told me whenever we talked, you're like, my phone is crazy. It goes, talk fast. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I understand your.
Yeah, I don't have time for a half-hour conversation.
I understand. Yeah. And I was like, please interview me. You'll like it, I promise.
Well, you made a good impression over the phone. You're very articulate, very educated.
I am a culinary.
Is it difficult for you to get by in the world, being who you are?
Super. Nobody believes me.
People think you're crazy.
There's one person I know for sure that believes that I'm here right now talking to you. One. Everybody else thinks I'm hallucinating, or my mom just called me a wackadoo. She's like, I saw some of your YouTubes. You're a wackadoo. I'm like, fuck, Jesus Christ. That's like the problem that all autists have. It's like, people can tell. You might be normal and articulate and like smart, but you spend enough time around an autist and there's something off about this person. And that's something off,
Mm-hmm.
that's the bias that fucks us all up.
So what makes you different than most people who have autism?
I would say, I don't...
Because you're very outgoing.
I don't want to...
You're an extrovert.
I don't want to sound like a narcissist or anything, but I think it's my intelligence, and I think it's really hard.
But a lot of autistic people are highly intelligent.
I don't think so. I think the intelligence distribution on autists is exactly the same as normal people or typical people. It's just there's a selection bias because the autists that are super intelligent that you know, Elon Musk. Oh, Elon. He came on Saturday Night Live, that motherfucker. Saturday Night Live. I have Asperger's. Yeah, you're an Asperger, all right, Elon.
No, is it difficult for you to just navigate life?
Yeah.
With what you're
it's like
dealing with?
when I'm having a conversation with someone, I watch this dark-skinned guy from Ohio, skateboarder, autist, right? And he's like, I got no filter. People think I'm rude. What's in my mind, if it's in there, I got to get it out. And then, that's like, I knew exactly what he's talking about.
You can't just keep your mouth shut.
It's, it depends. Like, if it's, like with you, I value this interview so much. I was very, 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 very focused on not scaring you or making.
You're a little scary.
Yeah. I was working at a liquor store. I did the first week. I did $65,000. It was like an insane amount of liquor I sold in Pennsylvania. It was during a holiday, and this one customer comes up to me, and I'm just like, she's talking, and she's like, I can see you being a serial killer. Like out of the blue. I'm like, I didn't do anything, you know, I'm nice, I'm smiling, and like, I was like, yeah. Oh, no, I remember. I was telling her about my new job, because at that time it wasn't full-time, the funeral home. I was getting $100 per pump, per removal. And, you know, you're picking up dead people from the morgue, you're picking up dead people from nursing homes. Oh my God, what a horror show that is. And from people's homes. And it's extremely, all the people are traumatized, like, boom, at the height of the trauma. And you're there to come and take their loved one away and make money doing it. So they don't like you at all. Somebody's got to do it, right? $100, man. Most money ever made, ever.
What did you want to do with your life? Or what do you want to do with your life?
President, you know, I take that back. I don't want to be president. I feel an obligation to at least be like, please vote for me, because Donald Trump and Joe Biden and all the other fucking people.
Are you out of touch with reality a little bit?
No, I don't think so. No. I mean, that's one of the features that you have to overcome, which would be cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions. Yeah, I've gone psychotic, so I know what being I've gone psychotic.
And drugs are not part of your life, or they are?
Yeah, they have been. It's been a coping mechanism, and a bad one.
That would be crystal meth?
No. I only did crystal meth, I think, 3 times, and it was always somebody. It was a circumstance. Somebody gave it to me.
What is your drug?
Cannabis, for sure. That's the one that's I got a really strong relationship with and love it, but you know, there are negative effects to it. Mostly, you know, if you consume it through smoke. But alcohol is the worst one.
Is it
by
hard,
far?
Is it hard to be autistic and have, you know, drug use? Using drugs while you're an autist?
I don't think it's any different than a typical person. I think actually being an autist might have drawn me to particular types of drugs, because I have sensory sensitivities. Whenever we're born, our brains are overconnected, and there's a theory that there's a group of neurons in the prefrontal cortex called mirror neurons, and they light up depending on what other people are doing. So if you're like happy, then my mirror neurons will be like just pulsing happy, and that's how I can have empathy with you. Well, apparently autists don't have the same complex network that typical people have involving. We do have some, but not as complex, not as developed. We have other strengths. We're called systemizers. You're called empathizers. But it's not that you can't systemize and that we can't empathize. It's just that our brains are naturally better at that. And so I have sensory sensitivities, and they're weird. Like some of them make sense, like lights, bright lights. Even before I knew, I was just diagnosed 4 years ago. As a kid, I would design my room to have these really nice lights, and I just thought I was artsy. But looking back, I'm like, no, dude, you were bringing down the sensory inputs to relax and to decompress. And collard greens, undercooked collard greens, person chewing them beside me, makes my brain fucking explode. I want to kill them. I got to get away from the crunch of the collard greens. Cold water. This wasn't all throughout my life. It happened after I had some difficulties in the Twin Cities when I was painting. Nobody was buying my paintings, so I had to work for this landscaping company, and it was a heat wave, and I was sleeping in a Walmart parking lot, getting eaten by mosquitoes, had to have my windows down. It was just fucking awful. But I was taking baths in the lakes there, and the lakes it was hot. The lakes were ice cold, and you'd think it would be like nice, but I had to get clean because I was working 12 hours a day, breathing 2-stroke fumes, sweating my balls off, ready to die. And then hopping into these ice cold lakes to wash off. And after that, anytime cold water would hit me, it's like electricity going down my body. But the sensory issues is there's sensory seeking behavior, right? I don't think it's as commonly known. Everyone knows about the meltdowns. Pretty patterns, kaleidoscopes. It's just, I'm drawn to it, and I think And that's why you'll find a lot of artists, I think, in the visual arts, actually all the arts. I think there's a disproportionate amount of autists in the arts. For sure.
What are the upsides of being autistic?
The systemizing brain. I think we have a better grasp of reality, typically than the average, the typical person, because you're based on these emotions and understanding other people, and other people are fucked up. We understand more. We more easily understand like physics, and if you wanted to design an electric car and rocket ships, that's an asset. Or Facebook, that's an asset. But if you want to excel on Facebook as a creator, then it's a detriment. So it just depends. There's fields where it's a benefit, and it's just, it's called neurodiversity, and it makes for a healthy organism. As a human organism, you need the weirdos, because if you don't have the weirdos, you won't figure out the weird problems.
Yeah, people who think differently like that.
I'm way outside the box.
Are very useful to have around you,
Mm-hmm.
like in business or.
Yeah, you would think that somebody would want to.
Because once you tap into their specialty, it can't be matched.
Yeah, it's as long as you can get past the.
You just got to keep them away from the customers.
Not always. Not always.
No, you're very personable.
Yeah, you go to grocery stores. I think they're packed with autists. One of the things when you're a child that you can see as a sign is a child stacking cans. And I got a job at a grocery store where I got sexually harassed. They blamed me because I was like, "You're an autist. You're an autist." And they were like, "Yeah, I am. I am. Yeah, I am." And there was this one person. I said, "Have you?" And he was saying something. I said, "Have you ever considered you might have autism?" And he got offended. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" That was an offense, man. I'm like, are you part of the clan? Because you are, dude. And he's like, "Oh, you're," because he probably knew somebody that had autism, was like biting their sister or something.
Yeah, you just found out a few years ago.
Me?
Yeah.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
You went your whole life not knowing you were autistic.
Yeah, and my sister, she did ABA therapy. I think that's what it's called. So she taught autistic kids, or applied behavioral analysis. She taught autistic kids for like 20 years. I did a painting demonstration for them one day, and they were okay. They were just like, but anytime my sister would get angry at me, she'd be like, "You remind me of my kids." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I saw your kids. Like half of them don't talk. And like when you tell me about your kids, it's just negative stuff." Like, and then whenever I watched this YouTube video, it was my ex-wife from Santa Cruz, or San Francisco. She's an accountant there for the college. She has autism, severe personality disorder. She was molested by her mother or her father, and then gang raped on LSD. And yeah, it was. So yeah, all the ICPTSDers, they have the trauma. Oh, I lost it again. I'm sorry.
I've lost it.
That's why I had the pen. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, your conversation with you tends to go all over the road.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, thank you for enlightening us a little bit about autists.
Yeah, sure.
I'm glad you drove out here safely. You're gonna leave?
I'll stay if you're gonna do more interviews with me. I'll stay. I'll get a shitty hotel for one more night.
One is fine.
What's that?
One is fine.
One's good. Okay,
One's
yeah,
good.
yeah. I'm gone. I'll see you later. Heading back to Pittsburgh.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. That was interesting.
Cool.